Hey, deserving listeners, it's time to continue our journey watching Rebecca and Zied. Let's get to the show.
Still, something about this whole situation doesn't seem right to me with him. It doesn't list a job. Does he work?
Well, I know his job is he's like an audience coordinator for a television show. He makes sure that each of the television shows has people in the audience.
So, there's nothing wrong with, while you're dating in the beginning of a relationship, not really knowing what your romantic partner does for a living. You know, you talk about it maybe every once in a while, or maybe they don't like talking about it, or you're not interested in it or something. But it is kind of a red flag that she doesn't really know what he does for a living. Now, does she need to know details about his job and his work history? No. But that's an indication of the level of involvement that you have with someone. For example, with me and my wife, I know a lot about what she does for a living. She knows a lot about what I do for a living. Primarily because we both work on the podcast together, but even before that, we just knew a lot. Now, was that because I did a background check on her? No. Was that because I went on this mission to investigate and figure it out? No. It was just a normal occurrence of data exchange that you have when you're getting to know someone. It's just one of those domains that you get to know among 100 different domains. There's just these conversations that happen over time and you get to know people. And the fact that she doesn't know really what he does. Now, maybe she does know, and this, friend of hers who is a private investigator, the fact that she couldn't find evidence of work on the internet is maybe not an indication of what his real occupation status is. But it is a bit of a red flag that I would have if I were her. I guess that's the point. If I were Rebecca, I'd be like, if I don't know that detail, which is a pretty big domain in someone's life, what they do for a living and what they've done in the past, just one of those conversation topics. What else do I not really know about him? And how close are we really? How intimate are we really? How made for each other are we really? And do I really know that? That's what I'd be thinking. Now, for Rebecca, I think she is more of an intuitive person. She thinks I just feel it. It's just real. And that could be a very good gauge. Time will tell.
Under jobs, it's completely blank, like he's never worked a day in his life. And I know that you've given him some money. I hope that there's not something more to this and that he's lying to you.
Obviously, that's an issue, but I believe he's a hard worker.
Okay, well, I just hope he's not planning on coming here and living off you.
So I don't know, but that looked like one of those moments where Rebecca was going into denial about something that she didn't want to think about, which is normal for us to do, but it could get in the way of our decision making. She, from the beginning, has seemed to ride the line between denial and actually looking at the reality of the situation. I talk about it, how it's living within the question mark. From what she's saying right now, Rebecca, she's saying, well, he says that he does this job at a TV station, but I don't have much more information on that. This friend is saying there's no information about his job. Now, I will say that an American investigator trying to figure out job history of someone in Tunisia, I'm guessing, isn't very easy. That's just a guess. I have no idea. But right there, it looked like Rebecca had no reason to really know about his job history. And because for her to think, well, wait, maybe he is lying to me, or maybe he is downplaying how much he depends on this marriage working out for his money situation. I don't know. So maybe this is one of those moments where there's some information coming towards Rebecca that indicates maybe this isn't a good idea, And instead of living within that question mark, like saying, well, I don't know. I don't know much about it. We haven't talked about his job history much. And I've just been taking his word on it. But I guess now that you mention it, who knows what's really going on there? I like him, and I think he's a pretty trustworthy person, but I don't know. There's no way for me to know at this point. We just met in person not too long ago. I don't really know. That would be living within the question mark. But when you live within the question mark, you are now opening yourself up to these ideas of maybe this isn't going to work out. Maybe he is tricking me, or maybe he isn't completely honest with me. Maybe I am his meal ticket. And to believe that is to believe something horrible that I don't want to believe because I need this to work out. If me and him don't work out, I don't know what I'm going to do. She said that earlier on in the season. So to be locked in on that means that you are more prone to, as information is coming in, without living within the question mark, you just get rid of that data point and live in certainty, which is, well, I'm sure things are going to work out. Like, let's rewind it and listen to how she phrased that.
Obviously, that's an issue, but I believe he's a hard worker.
Okay.
I believe he's a hard worker. How do you know that? I don't know if she knows that. Now, maybe she does. Maybe she has a ton of data on that. Now, maybe y'all have seen the future and you know one way or the other. But as far as I can tell, I don't know if Rebecca knows that much of information. Now, does this mean that he's up to no good? No, absolutely not. I think a lot of things are pointed to he's a genuine person who really loves her, and it's a great thing. But I don't know if she knows that much about his job history to say that, well, I know him to be a hard worker.
Well, I just hope he's not planning on coming here and living off you while he's living the American dream. I don't want to see you doing that again like you did last time.
So actually, I want to address something that often is brought up on this show that I don't think I've ever talked about before. And I used to have this misinformation in my head as well. This idea that a lot of people, if not everyone, if they could get away with it, they wouldn't work. This idea that people are trying to scam money and do this all this sort of stuff. Or the accusation that Zied, would just be scamming her because he doesn't really want to work and he just wants her to support him. Now, there are some people, psychopaths, who will live lives like that for a variety of reasons, but those people are very rare. The internet likes to think half of all people, particularly men, are like that. No, it's somewhere on the order of 1% to 3%. It's a very, very small percentage of people that are like that. The vast majority of people are not psychopaths, meaning that they, or what the internet calls sociopaths, and what the internet sometimes calls narcissistic personality, because when they're saying narcissistic personality, sometimes what they're describing to me is a psychopath or an antisocial person. Anyway, point is that we have this notion in our, and I used to have this as well, that if you let people get away with it, they won't work. If you give people welfare, for example, then they'll just sit at home and eat Cheetos and watch TV. Well, in my experience, that is just not true. Now, many people do that, but it's not for the reason that people think. Everyone wants to be productive. Everyone wants to feel like they're contributing. Everyone wants to feel in control of their finances and their life. Everyone wants to be a part of a team that produces something that's good, a product that is good for people. In my experience, everyone really wants that. The only reason why some people aren't doing it, and aside from psychopaths, is, and even psychopaths will sometimes like to do this, is that there's some sort of barrier, like they were put down, they were made to feel like they weren't good enough for work, or they're depressed, or they are the sort of thing they want to do, they're not allowed to do because of sexism or transphobia or something. They really want to do this kind of job, but because of their identities, they are oppressed and they're not allowed into that industry for one reason or another. There's just a lot of different reasons that will trip people, or they're anxious or something. You know, there's some kind of thing that'll trip people up that will get in the way of them enacting their desire, which is to have a job, to feel good about themselves, and to succeed in life. They want to work. So this notion that somehow Zied is scamming the system, I would assume that, let's say Zied, we find out that he has a pretty spotty occupational history. Well, I would assume that he wants to be a successful, productive person, but there's just something getting in the way. Maybe the economy in his town isn't doing that well. Maybe he hasn't been trained for a particular skill, and he doesn't want to dig a ditch somewhere or something. And maybe if he came to the States, got some training, he gets into a job that he likes to do, he would thrive. That's always my assumption, because I guess this would come up a lot in couples therapy or in family therapy, where the parents would be accusing the kid of being lazy, or a spouse is accusing another spouse of being lazy. And what I usually found was the person was not lazy. They wanted to succeed. They wanted to contribute. They wanted to work. But there was something psychological or societal that was getting in the way.
My last marriage was to a 23-year-old Moroccan man whom I met online. I brought him to America, but he was only using me, and it broke my heart.
Don't think with your heart. Think up here. And just be careful.
I have been kind of in this la-la land lately, where I'm looking at him like he's everything I've ever dreamed of. But what if he's been lying to me? Because if he's lying to me about having a job, what else is he lying to me about?
Yes, exactly. And if you've been lying to him about being legally married, what else are you lying to him about? So that goes both ways. So we don't know if he's lying. We definitely know that she's been lying. My overall report card for Rebecca, maybe I should have a report card for every single person. I think that Rebecca's report card, she's doing really well. I'd give her an A for sure. Maybe an A minus for this reason. But yeah, she's been doing really well with her differentiation, with her precision in speaking from her base emotions, her foundational emotions of fear and hurt, her assertiveness of this is who I am as a woman, and this is who I'm gonna be, her conflict resolution skills. But this one, the lying about the legal, being legally married, is something that undoubtedly Zied is going to want to know about, and is probably going to be justifiably very, very hurt and angry when he finds out.
And he seems to feel the same way about me. But my PI boss, Melanie, ran an international background check on Zied. And I'm worried that Zied has been lying to me about his job, because Zied has 0 employment history on his record. I want to talk to you about something.
Yes.
You know my friend Melanie?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
She, behind his back, did a background check on him, which could be very hurtful to him, could feel like a deception, right? Now, there's nothing wrong with her saying, by the way, me and my business partner back in the United States, we're both private investigators, and we're probably going to do a background check on you. Is that okay with you? That kind of thing. I guess in common situations, this would be something like, so we're on our 3rd date, and I have issues with trust because of my past. Is it okay if I do a significant Google check on you tomorrow? Because if I don't find anything bad, then that's going to make me feel a little bit better. Is it okay if I do that with you? Some of you could even do that with your therapist. You could go to your therapist and say, so I have this issue of trust, and I'm having this impulse to Google you, and I would rather tell you in advance than do it behind your back. Is that okay? And then you have a conversation about it. Now, some people might say, well, everyone has the right to do a background check or to Google check someone, even without telling them, because it's information and you need to know that. Okay, but you have to consider what it would feel like to have someone do that to you. Now, for some of us, we expect to be Googled. Like for myself, as a therapist long ago, I now expect all students and all supervisees and all clients, and maybe all YouTube viewers, to Google me, because I Google people that I'm interested in. If I'm watching a YouTube channel, I'm like, that guy's interesting. What's up with that guy? So, I Google people as well. And there's a level of Googling that I think is normal and expected, and everyone should know that that's just probably going to happen, and it's your responsibility to make sure that you scrub the internet for things that you don't want out there, like making sure your Facebook settings are private according to your own preferences, that kind of thing. But anyway, so I just want to point that out. Let's see how he reacts to that.
There's no employment history.
Rebecca tell me here, friend, looking about me and about my life. This worried me because he did not trust me.
Maybe, of course, not my name, not in this, because no, not me, boss. Okay, name my boss, give me money direct.
Right. That was one of the things that I don't know about Tunisian economic realities, but I was wondering if he was being paid under the table.
I work in the restaurant, I work in the coffee. I work so much work. No problem for me.
Good. Because I need you to understand something.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
You better not stay in the home while me, take care of both of us. Do you understand?
Yes, I understand, yes.
The process of bringing him to America, it's not going to be easy. I'm putting 100% of my heart and my life into this.
And this just brings up another problem with the way that these people date, is that you go to Tunisia, you go to this other country, and you maybe have met the person in person for the very first time, and within a certain amount of time, you got to get engaged, you got to get married. Normal relationships, regardless of what country you're in, there's a span of time where you get to know each other in person in the town that you both grew up in and live in or something, such that you can see with your own eyes, does this person work? Because she is hanging a lot on just trusting that this is going to happen. She's looking to him and she's like, so just to let you know, I'm not going to be the only one working here. You're going to work. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to work. And I believe him, but who's to say? There's just no way to know. Now, I believe that he will try to work, because like I was saying, most people want to work and want to be productive, but who knows? So in an ideal world, he would come to the States and live down the street from her for a year or two. They could live their independent lives and date and see how they interact and look at how they situate their own private lives and their own occupation lives and everything, and then make the decision as to whether or not to spend the rest of your life with someone. But the way this, the show is oriented, or the way that visas are oriented, everything is accelerated, and thus you don't have enough time to evaluate things. At least that would make me feel comfortable. If I was one of these people, I'd be like, this is going way too fast. I need more time to figure out if we're really compatible. All right, well, that does it for that episode. As I always say, these episodes are just for education only. They should not be a replacement for therapy. If you need therapy or any other clinical service, make sure you find someone in your area. You deserve to have personalized service. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself, because you deserve it. You really, really do.